Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Results Mastery webinar. It's great to have you here. Thank you for your attending, and I really, appreciate your time. I really do believe that when somebody invests time, it's even more expensive than investing money in something. So, I want to do my best today to make sure that you get the best possible return on investment of your time in being here. Just a little bit of background about myself. Not everybody knows me, which is part of the problem that I'm talking about today, which is obscurity. I really do believe that we're not known by enough people. That's one of the biggest problems. And, I see people all the time in business, my clients, prospects, and so on, working on trying to overcome this problem called obscurity. It's a very difficult thing unless you're Nike or Vodafone or, Apple or one of those, worldwide brands. Even if your market is just your local area, let's say I don't know, you clean carpets in Newbury, right? How many of the people within Newbury know of you? Because I know there's about 40,000 houses in Newbury, all of which probably have carpets, all of which, you need to be in touch with and sending out marketing messages and so on and so forth. But the truth is, for most small businesses, they've got 1,000, 2,000 names on a spreadsheet or a database or in a CRM system somewhere, and they don't keep in touch with them anywhere near as well or as often as they could. So today's all about overcoming obscurity. As I said, let me just give you a 30-second overview of me. So I've been doing this being helping small businesses to become more effective, improving their results, improving their lead generation and lead conversion, and therefore their income, making them become more successful now for just coming up to 30 years. It's actually 30 years on the 1st of May 2025, which I think in itself, I don't know. On one hand, it bears testimony that I must know what I'm talking about. On the other, it's just such a big achievement for me. I think it doesn't seem like I don't know 5 years since I started, but I've been doing this. The hair's gone a little bit grayer, and by the way, if you're wondering what this is, it proves even after all these years I cannot shave. I cut myself shaving this morning. I thought I'd smarten myself up for the webinar and finished up cutting myself shaving. So there we go. So just in case you're looking at that thing and thinking, what is that crawling across Steve's lip? That's what it is. But anyway, yeah. So I've also got before I started that, I was an international standard table tennis player. I was ranked in the top 10 players in England for 10 years. I played in the German Bundesliga, just like the footballers do now. And, that was just an amazing time in my life. When I finished that, I thought, what am I going to do? I know, I'll get into marketing. It was something I loved. And as a table tennis player, you can imagine you don't make a fortune. So you had to be pretty good at marketing yourself in order to make any money at all. And I managed to be a full-time player for 10 years. So, when I got involved with that, though, I sort of thought to myself, right, who's the best in the world? Who are the top people? So I believed in table tennis. I used to try and practice with the best players that I possibly could. And that often involved significant journeys pretty much every day in, day out, traveling to various places to get practice with the best players that I possibly could. When I got into marketing, I thought the same thing. It just made sense to me, right? Who's the best in the world that I can learn from? And I've been doing that and pursuing that for now nearly 30 years of learning from the best. So despite the gray hair and my age, I'm very up to date with the latest technologies, with AI and so on and so forth. But all that said, let's talk about what we're here to talk about, and that is overcoming obscurity. How do we overcome obscurity? As I've already said, it's one of the biggest problems that businesses face, and that is overcoming obscurity. So, what do I mean by obscurity? What I mean is, as I've already alluded to, if you're Nike, you've probably achieved that. You know, you're known throughout the world, certainly by most people. But if you're a small business like I am, and probably you are, then my question to you would be, what percentage of the people who could buy from you actually know you? You know, what percentage of the people that could buy from you actually know you? So for example, if your target market is hotels in the UK, and so the people you're targeting are hotel owners and hotel managers, and there are, I'm guessing here, 100,000 hotels in the UK. And so you've got the managers and the owners. So let's just assume there's one of each of those. That's 200,000 people. You should be able to get a marketing message out to literally overnight. You could do emailing. They're connected to you on LinkedIn. They're on Facebook. You've got multiple ways of sending messages out to those people. Now, if not, you're suffering from obscurity. You're only known by 10%, 20% of your potential market. I'm suffering from obscurity. I've got in my database about 100,000 people, which is a lot more than most, not as much as some. But in the UK alone, there are over 3 million businesses, and I've only got 100,000 of them. You know, that's a problem. You know, and it's a problem that I work on every day, trying to get a few more people on my email list, growing people on LinkedIn, getting more people, and so on and so forth. And that's what I want to talk about. But just before I do that, I want to talk to you about a problem that I see with this. And it's this: people connect to people, and then they go, "Do you want to buy this?" Let me give you an example. Somebody connects to me on LinkedIn. They send me a message and it says, "Hi, Steve, I was looking at your website and I'd like to connect to you on LinkedIn." And I think, okay. And I press that button saying yes. What happens then? Within 10 seconds, they send me a 500-word email trying to sell me something. And it simply doesn't work. Clearly, this is an automated email that's gone out. Clearly, they don't know who I am, really. Clearly, they're here just to try and sell something. And they're missing out on various stages, various things that they need to do. I'd like, if I may, just to share my screen. I want to show you something. Just bear with me a second. Okay, let me just pull that up to view mode. Okay, so this is a six-step process that I use and talk about a lot to my clients, people who are members of my results mastery program. Step one, as you can see at the bottom, the first step to being successful of 6 steps, if you will, is overcoming obscurity. But what happens so often is people go from there to either asking for a meeting, or if that's not part of the sales system, then it's asking for the sale. So it's going like from number one, missing out two, three, four, sometimes five, and going straight for six. They either go, "Hi, it's great to connect on LinkedIn. How about a meeting?" Or go, "Hi, it's great to connect on LinkedIn. How about buying this from me?" Now, and that doesn't just apply to LinkedIn, it applies to everything. Google ads, you send people to a page Selling strangers, people who don't know you, don't like you. Why would they? They don't even know you. And they certainly don't trust you. You're that sleazy salesperson or sleazy marketer who's invading their time, and there's no relationship there. People buy from people that know, like, and trust them, know, like, and trust their products and services, and know, like, and trust the company. I buy from Apple always. If Apple sells something, I want to buy it. Why is that? Because I know, like, and trust the company. I know, like, and trust the products. Don't yet necessarily know, like, and trust the person I'm speaking with in the shop, but based on my experience, they're always highly knowledgeable, really good at advice. I believe they don't get commission; they just get paid for doing what they do and being good at it. So, I'm pretty much almost there the moment I walk into the shop. Anyway, let's just talk about this system before we move forward and talk about how to overcome obscurity. So, step two, once you've got them, to connect, we need to communicate with them consistently. And that's where this breaks down to start with. Most people, most of the time, do not communicate consistently. I hear people all the time saying, well, I do email marketing. We send out a quarterly newsletter. Give me a break. That's just not enough. Or I post once a week on LinkedIn or on Facebook or Twitter or wherever, because I don't want to bombard people. Trust me, you're not. You're not bombarding. Most of the people, most of the time, are not reading or listening or watching your stuff. I think it's about 13,000 people connected to me on LinkedIn. And when I post on LinkedIn, I sometimes get 100, sometimes get 500, sometimes very occasionally I'll get over 1,000 people read my post. So what's happened to the others? Where are they? Well, they're busy. They're not on LinkedIn when I'm posting. That's why we need to post on there on a regular basis. We've also then got to move them from, rather than just the occasional browse, to getting people to know, like, and trust you. That's why I'm here today. I want to get people to know, like, and trust me. I'm not here to sell you something on my webinar. I'm here to get you to know, like, and trust me, to get you to think that this guy, Steve Mills, with his 30 years experience, working with thousands of businesses, helping hundreds of people or hundreds of those companies to make significant income. And why it's not thousands, by the way, is sometimes people come on my workshop, and you won't believe this, they'll come on a workshop, go away, go, it was great, Steve. Thanks ever so much. And guess what they do? 3 weeks later, I phone them and I ask them, so how's it been going? You were really pleased with the workshop. You said you learned loads of things. And what have you done? And guess what they've done in round figures? Absolutely zero, nothing. Tony Robbins always says that what's he saying? Trying to think of it now. Oh yeah. Knowledge is a waste of time. The application of knowledge is everything. So in other words, you can come along to one of my seminars or a webinar like this and think, oh, that was really good, really enjoyed it. Steve clearly knows what he's talking about. I'm going to do something, and then not do it. What you just waste your time. If you're not going to do anything, go and log off. Don't carry on. I don't want you to, because you just waste your time. You with me? So this is, I know I'm getting a bit high rate here, but it's just something that I know based on 30 years of experience. The ones who do get the results. The ones who don't get the results. It's as simple as that. The biggest mistake that I see in marketing is what I call FTIing, failing to implement, not actually doing what you say you're going to do. Or if you do it, you don't do enough of it. How many phone calls did you make last month? If you're like most people, it's nowhere near enough. How many social media posts did you put out? The answer's nowhere near enough. You talk to Gary Vaynerchuk, one of the world's leading social media stroke business experts, he'll tell you if you're not posting 10 to 15 times every day, you're wasting your time. Now, that might be a little bit OTT, and I don't know, but the fact is that 99% of businesses are not doing it anywhere near to the level that they could or should. The posts are not relevant. The posts are too general, and the posts are just not in enough quantities. So let's assume that we've got to step three now. We're getting communication. People are looking at our stuff. They're reading my emails. They're attending my webinars. We've now got to get into two-way communication. And that's a really important step, guys. If you're just sending stuff out without getting responses, then it's not really the best way of doing it. You want to get people respond. How do you do that? Well, when you go to a party or an event, a networking event, what do? You go up to people and you go, "Hi, I'm Steve, and you are? And what is it you do? And oh, how do you do that? How long you been in business?" So in other words, you ask questions, right? So I'll tell you this, the number one way to win business on LinkedIn, right? This makes me 100 grand a year, is to pick up the phone and talk to people. Nothing to do with posting. Posting just makes picking up the phone and talking to people easier, because I talk to people who've liked and commented and so on and so forth on my posts, or indeed on somebody else's post that I think was interesting. So that's the way to win business. Get two-way communication. Once we've got that communication, we can say, "Do you know what? It was great to talk to you today," or even to text you or message you or email. We've had an email conversation. How about meeting? Would you like to meet? We can talk about your business and maybe give you some tips on your website that you said you weren't winning any business on, and so on and so forth. And then when you get to that meeting, you've got to be good at converting, because if you convert 4 out of 10 meetings into sales, that is, and you could increase that to 6 out of 10, you've not improved by 20%, you've actually improved by 50%. You've grown your business by 50%. So that's what I wanted to say about that. So let's just go back, if I may, to obscurity. Let's just talk about that for a few minutes. So what are you going to do to actually overcome this thing called obscurity? What is it that's going to actually happen? Well, the things you're probably doing, you're probably, going to a few networking events, like chambers of commerce and things like that. And all those things are good. I'm not knocking any of that. It's all good stuff. But we need to think about what else we could do, because that's, that networking world is limited. There's only whatever there is, 20, 30, 50 people in the room, and potentially we won't have more than that. So you could go to more events, or you could go to bigger events, but you could be better at getting people's names and things like that. So that's good. Your website is the hub of your marketing, isn't it? So how many people are visiting that? Where are they coming from? They're two really important questions for you in terms of obscurity. If you've got a website and you've perhaps spent £2,000 or £3,000, maybe £10,000 on it, and nobody's visiting it, then, what a waste of money. Why would you even bother? People tell me, "Oh no, it's just a brochure site." BS. If it's something that you've spent money on and you want to get a return on investment, don't just satisfy yourself by saying, "Oh, it's not for that. It's just a brochure. It's just for people to see." No, it's not. You want traffic and you want conversion. They're the two keys to your website success. So you got to think about how you're going to get people there. And again, you can advertise, you can use social, you can do email, you can do search engine optimization, and probably about another 10 things that I could mention, but I don't want to get bogged down with that. We then need to think about things like our email marketing. So often, people actually don't do it. Do you know? I just don't get it. I really don't understand. If you're not doing email marketing, and let's say you started as a result of listening to this, you started doing some email marketing. What difference would that make? Let's say you've only got a rubbish database that you've not really marketed to for ages, and you go and use something really basic like a MailChimp or something like that, and you send out, I don't know, an email once a week for the next 6 weeks. What's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is you don't win any more business. What's the best case scenario? Well, I don't know. If you win, 1% of them, you get one, you send out 1,000 emails, that's 10 inquiries. If you do that every week, that's 60 inquiries. And how much does that cost you? Virtually nothing. If you want to use, our system, we've got a fantastic system, 1,000 times better than probably anything else, actually. I know that sounds like I'm selling, but I'm not. Just go to my website, click on a page called the Results Mastery Hub, and watch a demo of me showing you how to use it. Honestly, it's mind-blowingly good. It uses AI and all that sort of stuff, and it really is fantastic. So, email marketing, if you're not doing it, just do it. What about paid advertising? People go, "Oh, I don't want to waste money." No, you don't want to waste money, but you can try email marketing. Sorry, you can try paid advertising without any problem, without spending a fortune. I know at the moment, the other day I got a £200 voucher from LinkedIn to give it a try. And I'm sure if you went onto Google right now and typed in free LinkedIn advertising, possibly even free Facebook advertising, or free Google voucher, or something like that, you'd get some results. There'd be somebody somewhere who would give you £100. I know Google a little while ago were giving away a £500 voucher if you spent £500. Okay, that's a reasonable amount of money to be spending, but basically they were offering half price advertising. So, there's only one way. One of the most important things I'd say that you can do is to think about how you can test different things to see if you can find something that works. Because I'm here to tell you, all marketing works, all of it. It just doesn't work all the time. Sorry, my voice is going a little bit. You'd probably gather I'm a little bit hoarse. I've had the flu for a while, and it's seeming to stay with me. But I'll endeavour to keep going. So yeah, so we need to think about that. And the truth is, no matter what you're doing in terms of your marketing, I'd say to you and implore you to think about doing more of it. So if you're picking up the phone and talking to people, if you're sending emails, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, if you're doing videos, if you're on TikTok now, then do more. Just do more. That will get you more results. If your main strategy is to pick up the phone and call people right now, and you're calling 100 people per month, if you called 200 people per month, it'd probably equal twice the amount of business. You with me? So that's a really important factor and something for you to think about. The other way of doing it is actually to become better. Become better at making those calls. I cannot stress to you enough the importance going forward in 2025 for you to become better at selling and marketing your products and services. Nothing is going to make you more money, right? Nothing. You have got to become better at it. And, I'd also say that if you think about what's happening right now in the world and how it's changing and how tough it is, and this thing called AI. I listened the other day to a guy talking about AI, and he said that by the end of next year, we're all going to have our own AI. So instead of it actually being me, this is me. Hi. It could be an AI that takes my place. I could be on the beach doing this, and I've got an AI avatar running that. If you're worried about this sort of weird thing around here, between my fingers and things like that, that's because I'm using a screen behind me. It just makes it a little bit weird, but I think it's better than, the background in my office, and I think it looks quite smart. So I'm not an AI, just to reiterate. So, I've got lots of things down here. If you're not doing, I get so many people go, well, I don't understand SEO. You know, so what? I didn't used to. I put time in to understand it. And do you know what? It's not that complicated. I could teach you how to get some results from SEO in probably less than an hour. Less than an hour. I could teach you how to do that. And if you join my results mastery program, that would be part of it. I could teach you how to become better at building relationships, how to get speaking gigs on podcasts. What a great way of growing your business. Get onto somebody's podcast. My podcast, I get 8,000 views or listens per episode. Every time I go on there, I get about 8,000 people. How cool is that? How much does that cost me? Well, virtually nothing. I think to actually have a podcast costs me $20 a month. And that's advertised by these companies that you might have heard of. One's called Amazon Music and the other's called Apple, right? What are they doing? They're doing my marketing for me for how much? Nothing. I'm a Yorkshireman. I don't like spending money unless I have to. But for $20 and I can do a podcast like 4 times a week, times 8,000 people, I'm sort of overcoming obscurity to some level there, aren't I? Just with podcasts. So, these things are really, really valuable. By the way, go to my website, find my podcast, get yourself signed up. That's another one. I do these things and lots more on an ongoing basis on my podcast. Now, you see what I'm doing here? I've found you somewhere, perhaps on LinkedIn, perhaps through email, perhaps through advertising. You've come to my podcast. Sorry, you've come to my webinar. And, I'm now telling you about my podcast. I've told you about my website. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just selling you the idea of moving forward and learning more from me. Because I absolutely know if you're going to take action, that it's going to make you a lot, and I mean a lot of money. It's going to make you, I'm going to say 50 times more than I charge you. So if you want to think about that. Yeah, so what else can I tell you? I'd say just look at the things that you're not doing. If you've never done a podcast, that might be something you want to do. If you've never done advertising on YouTube, that might be something you want to do. If you've not done any videos, it's something you've got to do. And you say, well, I don't like videos. So what? Doesn't matter. You don't have to actually be there yourself. You just need to do videos. In an ideal world, you just like me now, sat in front of a camera talking away. This is not scripted, as you probably guessed by now. This is just me talking based on my experience, and it's nothing different than you could do very, very easily. But if you don't want to do that, get somebody else to do it. Go and get one of these AI people to do it for you. If you join my Results Mastery University, There's instructions in there about how to get an AI avatar to go to do this video in for you. Or just find it on Google, to be honest. You'll find it pretty easy. Just go and have a look at what it is that you're doing. So I'm going to sort of bring it to an end at this point, I think. I've spoke to you about improving things and focusing on overcoming obscurity, but then building that relationship. Don't just go, I don't know these people, I'm going to sell them. That's tough. We want to build relationships and then sell to people who know, like, and trust us. The last thing I'd like to say is just going forward into 2025, think about these two questions. What can you do to become a better business owner? What can you do to become a better business owner? What do you need to do? What's the important things? And don't get into, oh, I'm not a techie. Oh, I don't like marketing. I don't understand. That's just a bullshit excuse for not doing it. You've got to learn. You just have. It's either that or pay somebody to do it. So I'm a big believer that you should be learning these skills yourself. And the second thing that I wanted to remind you of is to make sure that you take action to grow. You need to learn more and you need to take action. There's no point, just going and doing something and learning something, attending this webinar, attending that training, to attending the podcast, and then not doing anything. Failing to implement is a real sin, and we don't want to be sinners. So that's it. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. If you do want to know more from me and my website, you can't see it here. I've got to get this background sorted. There it is. It's results-mastery.com. Here's a good example of why sometimes not everything's perfect. I thought it was perfect putting this new background together, and actually what I need to do is make this big thing in the middle here a little bit smaller and perhaps put it up here so people can see my website. But there we go. I've learned something as well. Thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to speaking to you on my next webinar. Thank you.